Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast. I'm Quattro.
I'm Diesel.
And we're here to send some ripples out into these digital streets, as you say, for you to think about. We're living in a time where the rules of identity, power, and influence are being rewritten. Whether it's who gets to be a citizen or who gets a seat at the table, or how gender dynamics are shaping our culture, or how artificial intelligence is reshaping the very definition of intelligence and labor. The structures that once seemed unshakable, like governments and workplaces and even social norms, are now shifting under our feet. But the question is, who benefits and who gets left behind? Today, we're diving deep into these seismic changes, exploring how they ripple through our lives and shape the world we're stepping into. So the topics that we'll be discussing today is birthright citizenship, who determines if you're a citizen, if you're not a citizen, are you here legally, you're not legal, your parents here, but they ain't legal, so should you be legal? Like, it's a whole kaflama of things that go into that. And we'll also be talking about DEI, the winners and losers of DEI. Who does it help? Who does it affect? Who does it, restricts? Also, we'll be talking about, now help me with this word, guys, because, I get real tongue-tied. Toxic femininity versus toxic masculinity. A lot of times we hear about the toxic masculinity, and we very seldom hear people talk about the toxic femininity. And so we want to explore that and, kind of dive into that a little bit more. And then last but not least, we'll be talking about the explosion of AI. And so with that being said, let the ripples begin and let's get started.
Welcome back, everybody. First up, we're going to talk about birthright citizenship. And think of the world as an amusement park, and every country is a ride. Now, obviously, America seems to be one of the best rides in the world, or in this case, in this amusement park. So it has the biggest line. But the question is it okay to cut? So that's what we basically be talking about.
And all y'all know, one way to get thrown out of park and another way to get into a fight at amusement park is to cut somebody in line. Some of these lines for the biggest roller coaster, we in line, you go to Great Adventure or Magic Mountain, you in line, it says the wait from this point is 3 hours.
Right.
Like, it literally says that, and then you're content. You sit there and you wait, and you might send your girl to go get the funnel cake or some cotton candy so y'all can eat while you wait in the line. But nonetheless, you wait till your turn come, and God forbid you see somebody cut that line, and don't let anybody that work at the park see you cut the line, because you're out of there, buddy.
Big time.
You're out of there.
Now, I understand a lot of people have been operating off of just what they saw on TV or what they heard on the radio.
Of course.
But, being the scholars that we strive to be, we had to actually go look at the actual executive order. So
yeah.
When we went in and looked at that, specifically, it was protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. That was the title of the article. And what we saw was, again, it's not just what people are saying. And when I'm listening to a lot of the talks on the news or the radio, I'm hearing more so people's feelings about these orders than actually what the orders are actually saying. So that's why I was like, I need to go read the order myself.
And that's what all of us need to do, because it seems very black and white to me. And I don't know, is it because that most of America or our people are like on the sixth grade, fourth grade reading level, and so they're intimidated to read something? But when you read these orders, it's black and white. It's clear as day.
Very clear.
And and you can see that someone that's online or TikTok ranting and raving, you could tell the difference between a person that read the actual order or the person that's just acting out of emotions. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, one part of the order where it talks about the purpose, it says the privilege of the United States citizenship is priceless and profound. Like, that let me know that it means something to be an American. It means something, and it's just not something that you just want to give out freely.
Yeah, it's priceless. And let's bring that up so they can see that, guys. The privilege of the United States citizenship is priceless and profound. Mind you, let's go back to that line in the amusement park.
Facts.
We're waiting 3 and 4 hours to get on this ride. It's around the corner. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, you want to take advantage. You want to get on this ride. You want to be there. You got just the new Superman, the new Batman, the new super duper roller, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You want to be on it. And that's how America is compared to these third world countries and these other countries that aren't as prosperous or, forward thinking as we are.
Mm-hmm. So we see it's a priceless commodity. But then when we go down the policy, we saw that, again, it wasn't just about, pretty much what what I saw. He's just trying to take citizenship away from people, and he's trying to deny immigration. No, from what I read, when they specifically start talking about the policy, it specifically states
when the person's mother.
Yeah, when the person's mother was a lawful U.S. citizen. I mean, when the person's mother wasn't unlawfully was here unlawfully. Mm-hmm. And the father wasn't wasn't here lawfully, as well as a permanent resident. Those are the individuals that are going to be denying birthright citizenship too. So going back to the amusement park example again, if everyone's in line, someone just can't hop in line and say, "Well, this is my space."
And then so you get a lot of people. The emotions is coming from the children that had the birthright citizenship privilege. Mm-hmm. And so they're crying about their mothers and fathers, grandmothers may be deported because they came here illegally. Mm-hmm. And once again, we keep overlooking the major word or the key component to that statement is illegally. So when you do something illegal, there's consequences.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just how life is. And I'm not trying to be mean. I know your mother could have been a productive citizen, but when she made that decision and that choice, she not only put herself in danger, in jeopardy, and she put you in jeopardy. And then the thing, my guy that's over the borders are now, I rocks with him because he said, look, we ain't trying to be the parent. We ain't doing, because they keep trying to get him the answer. So if someone is here illegally and the child is legal, are we deporting American citizens? They keep trying to make him to say, we're deporting American citizens. He said, that's not up to us. We're not making that decision. The parent make the decision. And that child could stay with some other people that are citizens, or you could take the child with you. Right. It's up to you. Stop trying to make him say, what you want him to say so we can further perpetuate this whole scare tactic.
Right, and that's all I'm really seeing from it. It's just a scare tactic for those who are choosing not to read the order themselves. So a lot of the confusion, I would say, it can be cleared up if people are just reading the order. So just read the orders.
And also, I wanted to add to that, the new press secretary, she about her business.
Yeah,
she ain't playing with y'all. The reporter was like, so out of all of the deported people that got sent back, how many people had? She said, how many people were criminals, and how many of them had violent offenses or charges? And she said, Miss, they all criminals. When you break the law that makes you a criminal in the United States. So stop trying to differentiate between people that had criminal charges or violent charges compared to other people that had.
They all criminals.
They all criminals.
All of them.
When you break the law, you're a criminal. And I just like, we gotta have some foundation. I think
some boundaries.
Some
borders.
You gotta have borders.
You gotta have borders, right?
You definitely do, because if not, there's always a what if that. We gotta have a foundation to kind of just draw from and just be like, hey, this is it. No more, no less. Here it is.
So one of the funnier examples I've heard described, well, not I guess funny examples, but just a good example of describing what this is it was the cow example, to where, again, if if my neighbor's cow breaks through my fence and gives birth to a calf, you're like, again, it's still not my cow, and it's still not my calf. You know? So that was like one of one of the better ways of me hearing someone explain what the birthright citizenship problem was, and I would think that's if you're explaining it to someone like that. Mm-hmm. It's not hard to not understand.
It's not hard to understand. Just like if someone breaks in your house and they have a baby on your living room floor, does that baby now become a resident of that home and you put the baby's name on the lease or the deed?
Right.
No, you go ahead and tell them to clean up that mess, because I'm sure they
want to make sure the baby is all right, though.
Yeah, make sure the baby fine. Get some hot water, get some blankets.
Right. Give it a little formula.
And you go ahead about your business, because another thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention, as a person that traveled all over the world, I've been to, numerous countries. I'm on my way to another country in like 5 days. And one thing I've noticed, when you're going through customs and immigration and all that, they're very strict about you coming into their country. They want to know where you going, how long you going to be there, why are you here, who you staying with. They need an address, and they're serious about that. And if you think you just gonna pull up in another country and stay, guess who's coming and knocking at your door?
It's not happening.
The military. They come. They come into like, excuse me, immigration police is coming. Like your visa is over, your time here is done. Like, or you didn't go get the visa, you just here as
they pulling tourist. Up on you, basically.
They pulling up on you and sending you back to America. So why do we think that America, shouldn't operate the same way? Like, the borders are for a reason, to protect your land, your territory, your space. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that, we can't go nowhere else and just pull up and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm gonna have some babies, and now my babies are, part of this society. No, you have a baby in another country, you go ahead and they'll give you health care, and that's for sure. They'll take care of you. But once you're together, you got to go back to America.
Got to go where you came from,
and your baby ain't a
citizen. Right. So just to play devil's advocate, though,
go ahead.
There will be the individuals who will say, "But how can America feel this way about birthright citizenship when, in a sense, the country was founded with immigrants, or founded by immigrants, or the slaves?" Because I remember, the Trump, he came out and said the 14th Amendment, because that's another people's reasoning, is the 14th Amendment clearly states that anybody born in America, it becomes a citizen automatically. But again, that being the 14th Amendment, that was for, at the time, slaves. And I do think context is important when we are reviewing this Constitution, as well as these bills of rights and these amendments, because at that point in time, like, that was why that specific amendment was written. Most likely some other things as well, but for the ultimate reason, it was written to, quote unquote, give citizenship to those quote unquote slaves who were born in this country after being terrorized and brought, and being a prisoner of war and brought here. I can't even say they were brought here illegally. Again, they were prisoners of war in that regard. So you can't really say those individuals were immigrants, or they were, as the Florida textbooks are now calling them, indentured servants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They weren't that. You know what I'm saying? These are people who were brought here by force, not by choice. And again, then they were here, then they had their kids, and so that was the reasoning for why, one of the major reasonings for why they did it with the 14th Amendment. But again, when we fast forward to today, I've been hearing that as people's reasoning as to why this action is illegal, and why the executive order for him to block birthright citizenship is illegal, and why the Supreme Court, should keep it blocked.
Watch that word "should."
Oh, well, no, I was just saying, this is what they're saying.
I know.
You know what I mean? But to your point,
what we should do.
Yeah.
And like we said, like, if you read the 14th Amendment in context in which it was written, you will see that they're talking about, slaves and, giving them citizenship, after, slavery was abolished and all that happened. We had to have something like that to kind of solidify us as part of this land. it definitely wasn't talking about Julio, who crossed the border illegally and had a baby, and brought his homegirl, Maria, and she just happened to be pregnant, and they, shit out a baby in Texas, and now, that baby is American. That wasn't what they was talking about.
Or even for your more affluent individual from London, some of these developed foreign countries coming into America to have their child specifically to gain the citizenship, to then just go back to their country of origin.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's one of the things I remember them speaking about as well. Like, that's what they're striving to prevent. Like, we don't want other individuals from foreign countries ultimately to be able to exploit our American citizenship, because remember, it's profound. It's a profound gift.
It's a profound.
It's a privileged.
Gift.
It's a privileged and profound gift.
Best country in the world, right?
That's what we say.
That's what we like to think, right? And and it's simple. If your parents are legal citizens, then the child that they have will be a legal citizen. You would not be a legal citizen if your parents are not of this land and came here illegally. Point blank, period.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and they are starting with, to be fair, they are starting with the violent offenders. They are starting with people that had criminal charges and, that are repeat offenders. They're not just they're not just going right after, Maria, that been working down there making tacos for the past 15 years and contributing to society. And, so, let's just take it easy, guys. Stop trying to always look for something to be riled about. There's a lot of things that we should be riled about. As we move forward, we'll explore those things. But this birthright citizenship,
gotta get our shit button.
I think I'm gonna put a bucket or a bell. And every time one of us say should, you could comment in the chat, right? Comment your name, and we'll put $1, and I'll get a bucket or something. Yeah, every time we say should,
the should jar, how they had the cursing jar,
yeah. And then at the end of the month or something, we'll send that money to
somebody donated. Yeah, have a little contest or something. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
I like that.
Yeah. But all right. We're moving right along. Next topic.
DEI, winners and losers. This is an interesting topic here because a lot of people are going batshit crazy over this topic, on what they think it means, or what they heard their mama say, or what they heard somebody at the job say, and ain't nobody read the goddamn executive order. Yeah. Ain't nobody read that, and we're going to dive into that today.
So, first order that they came out with was ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferences. So again, when we look at the purpose, the ultimate purpose of this order was, Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect, and to expending precious taxpayer resources only on making America great. So, like you said, contrary to popular belief, it's not, the first order is not necessarily to stop people from getting a job. I mean, it's not to, inhibit anyone from moving forward or making some progress in their life. It's there to reestablish a merit-based system, not a system where the rewards are based upon, how you were born.
Yeah, or
it's basically what you're capable of.
Yeah, it's what you're capable of. And if you joined us last week when we was talking about the importance of STEM, things like executive orders like these coming into place or being removed, is making that point that we made last week even that more valid. We have to be qualified. We have to be prepared. We have to be educated. We have to do what we need to do to get to where we need to be to take these jobs and do it, and not just because you're black or because you're a female, because you're a lesbian, or because you're, what's the other, a vet, or because you're handicapped. Of course, this doesn't take away the constitutional right of discrimination. They still cannot discriminate against you. And if you feel as though that you didn't get a job because you were black or because you were handicapped or because you were LGBTQ, you'll have a hell of a lawsuit on your hands and you will win, a lot of money. You have a couple bags. You'll have a couple bags. You're talking about getting to the bag. You have a couple bags. You know what I'm saying? So let's look at what this executive order says.
So the next point that it talked about was, again, federal employment practices, including federal employee performance reviews, shall reward individual initiative, skills, performance, and hard work, and shall not be under any circumstances consider DEI factors, goals, policies, mandates, and requirements. So again, it's not saying you can't get the job, but you're not going to get the job because, again, how you were born or how you identify. You have to be capable of doing the job.
Right.
Period. Now, the devil's advocate.
Okay.
Because, there's going to be some people who say, well, that just gives them, a way to, quote unquote, box us out, whoever us is.
Which is another false statement because, the benefactors of this DEI implemented initiative. Let me just
pull it up.
Let me just show you who benefits from this. First, people that benefit from this, no, not this slide, the other one. The list of the people that benefit. Yeah, there we go. You have white women and male CEOs.
Now, before you continue, for all the critics, this is the Department of U.S. Labor. So this ain't just us.
No,
coming up with this, or even the gentleman who tweeted this, Hart Ramsey. Mm-hmm. It's not just him saying these things. This is the Department of Education.
Yeah,
here.
This is
the Department, the U.S. Department of Labor.
Right? Based on verified statistics
and data.
You know what I'm saying? And if y'all know anything about our podcast, we dive into facts and we try not to deal with emotions. Mm-hmm. And so the number one person that benefits from this DI are white women and male CEOs. Number two, you have Latinos and Hispanics. Mm-hmm. Number three, you have Asian Americans. Mm-hmm. Then you have Native Americans. Then after that, you have disabled Americans. Then you have vets, people who were, in the armed forces or whatever the case may be. And then number 7 comes LGBTQ plus, and then coming in
last but not least,
in last place, bottom of the totem pole,
as always,
are Black Americans.
But who do we see as the face of DEI?
You have Black Americans running around here as the face of DEI, acting like is a whole war against us, and they're trying to get us out the job market and all this stuff. That I said to myself the other day, I said, it's funny, I haven't seen one Black person or Black American get online and say, I lost my job because they took away DEI. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen not one. I haven't seen, and then on the contrary to that, you would think since white women and male CEOs benefit the most, you would think they would be in the uproar. Mm-hmm. But they're not. We have our people going into Target, right, cussing out the employees that work there like they have anything to do with any policies that stay or goes. And it's just like, come on, my people, we got to stop and we got to rise above this impulsive and this, emotional reactions to just what we hear and not getting to the fact and the reasoning of, said things that we get so emotional about. Mm-hmm. I seen a post where they had, they're trying to cancel Tabitha Brown. Now, everybody know Tabitha Brown. She's the woman she's the vegan lady, and everyone's I love Tabitha Brown. I support her. She's a beautiful soul. I've met her a couple times. Mm-hmm. And that night we ran into the Muslim guy. I was going to her.
Okay, yeah.
She's a beautiful soul, but now they're trying to rip her apart.
For what?
Because she has her product at Target, and she's not removing her product from the shelf. So they saying she's like not supporting, the Black.
Oh, so she's supposed to be boycotting.
Yeah, we supposed to be boycotting Target. Remember, we supposed to be boycotting. Okay. So the fact that she's not pulling her product from the shelves is like, why are y'all mad? She should. And then this whole boycott of Target, if us as a black people stop shopping at Target, what happens to the business owners that are black that have product at Target? Who are we hurting? Huh? Target? There's 50 other people they could replace that hair conditioner with.
Real quick. Fast and in a hurry.
Real quick. And so, when you get a deal with Target, that's an accomplishment. Yes. You know what I'm saying? That's
big time commercial deal, man.
Yeah, that's global distribution. Is Target in other countries?
I wouldn't see why they wouldn't be, but nevertheless, to your point, it's still distribution. It's premium distribution,
massive distribution. Yes.
And for any entrepreneur, any product creator, like that's what you want. That's what you want.
That's exactly what you want. And I just don't understand the outrage of our community. That just want to once again find something to be mad about. Where there's enough things to be mad about. They weren't upset when Target was pushing the LGBTQ, sexual preference on children, when they had all types of toys and games and apparel for kids that represented, sexual preferences. No one said nothing about that, and that's more egregious, I think, than anything.
Yeah.
When you're trying to,
I will call it a form of recruitment and grooming.
Yeah, you're trying to infiltrate the minds of kids that can't even think for themselves to, grow up and think, oh, okay, I can be a boy if I'm a girl, and I could be a girl if I'm a boy. I don't see us talking about, those different things that are trying to infiltrate our children and our communities, or us, killing each other and us destroying our own neighborhoods and things like that. Like, we're not coming together on that.
But the things that matter.
Yeah.
It's like we want to major in the minors.
Yeah, we want to major in the minor. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be all, DEI is horrible. It's like someone said, Roland Martin, he was saying that they're trying to roll back the 1964 Act. And I have a video somewhere, and I'll see if I can find it. And my question is, were black families doing better before 1964 or after 1964? And that's the question I want to challenge y'all to think, because prior to 1964, we had a lot of things like Black Wall Street going for us. We had our black communities where they had
our own bus, our own infrastructure,
hospitals, banks, and things of that nature. The family household was like at a 75,
a nuclear 80, unit.
It was at 80%,
something like that.
Double household. And now you see after 1964, the two-parent household, or parents being married in the household has dropped down to maybe like 25%. And it's like we don't have next to no black banks, hospitals, grocery stores, and nothing like that. There's no more Black Wall Street. There's no more infrastructure. There's no more community.
None.
There's no more
zero
at all. So my question is, did this 1964 act that your boy Lyndon B. Johnson put in place, and we know that he's a devout racist, which was clear, and he's on record of calling us niggers and saying, we'll implement this and have those niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years. That's factual.
That's fact.
Do you think that he actually implemented or signed something that was to our benefit or detriment? And then when you look at the quality of life since then compared to the quality of life prior to then, I'll let you figure that out. I'll let you fill in the blanks.
It's kind of like my thing with the whole DEI is when we go stop allowing them to play in our face.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like every time one of these programs are put into place, they put us as in, Americans of African descent, they make us the face of these policies, which ultimately makes the general American believe that the policy is for quote unquote black people, when the reality is black people, we don't even get anything from it. We don't benefit from it. No. Because there's other individuals in front of us. So it's like going back to the whole amusement park, the line concept. It's like for whatever reason, black Americans, we're always quote unquote, the last people in line. You feel me? And so it blows my mind that we are just allowing them to play in our face.
I mean, it's just crazy, man. We just let them play all in our faces, and then it's funny when we speak up, and then when we don't speak up. It's just crazy to me. Like I said, that Roland Martin guy, he went on because on a little tangent. He was also talking about they're releasing the files of Martin Luther King and JFK and Bobby Kennedy's assassinations, or whatever the case may be. And so Roland Martin is on TV saying, like, oh, this is an atrocity because all they're going to do is just defame Martin Luther King's name, and they're going to take his name off the streets and take his name off statues. And it's like, I don't think that's the purpose of them doing that, because they could discredit any of us at any given moment without having to go through any extreme.
Yeah.
I think they're doing it to expose the crookedness and the corruption of our FBI department. Hence, all the stuff that's going on.
Right.
And
I was doing the Hoover years.
Yes.
The most corrupt
exactly.
FBI director of all time.
With us reforming it, we just fired, the FBI director because of the debacle she ran with Trump being attempted assassination on Trump, not once but twice. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, she resigned or stepped down or got fired, whatever. She's not in place no more. We got a new one that just been sworn in, or whatever the case may be, or he's being vetted as we speak. Cool. So but yeah, it just they're releasing those things because we have to see that there was a power within our power.
A pattern of corruption.
Yeah, there's a force within our government. There's a corruption within our government. As they say, they draining the swamp of the deep south. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, we just really have to take things with a grain of salt and really do the due diligence to really get to the core and the meaning of things that are really happening.
Exactly. So for all the creators out there who feel afflicted by these DEI measures, you feel like you're losing, what can we do to move forward? What can we do? What is our resolve? Personally, I think if you're tired of being last in line, or if you feel that there's some opportunities that you're going to be missing out on because these DEI programs don't exist anymore, I would encourage you to implement, Boyce Watkins' version of DEI.
Oh yes, definitely.
I think Mr. Watkins' version of DEI is how you change moving forward.
Yes,
and so it's the same letters, DEI, but instead of it being diversity, equity, and inclusion, we're going to change it to development, entrepreneurship, and investment. Because again, if you develop yourself, you engage in some entrepreneurship, and you invest in yourself, then again, you're still going to be able to move. So going back to you, so for all of the brands who aren't going to be in retailers anymore, you can still get access to global distribution, by direct to consumer, selling your product through your own platform, ideally on the internet. Now, granted, you're not going to have the foot traffic that you may have been accustomed to by your product being in a big box distributor like a Target, but you can still have your product will still be available and accessible to the world.
And it's all about moving forward, right?
And it's all about moving forward, right?
Life doesn't, or life should not, or should happen. It just happens.
Yeah, life doesn't turn out the way it should. It doesn't turn out the way it shouldn't. It just turns out the way it does.
Right. And so it's up to us to know and to be cognitive of what's next and how we move forward and come out of whatever situation better, stronger, and wiser.
Yes.
So I shout out to what's his name?
Boyce Watkins?
Yeah, Boyce Watkins.
Shout out to Boyce Watkins.
Shout out to Boyce Watkins for sure, because black success isn't luck. It really isn't.
It is strategy. But this is something that isn't solely reserved for quote unquote black people. Like anybody, any American, you just don't have to be an American of African descent for to operate off strategy.
No, and this is for anyone.
This is for anyone.
This is for anyone.
Anyone can develop. Anyone can be an entrepreneur, engage in entrepreneurship, and anyone can invest in self. So, Before we, as we segue into our next topic, remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you feel afflicted here, it's okay. Just figure out what to do next. And 9 times out of 10, what to do next is going to revolve around some level of development, entrepreneurship, and investment in self. Welcome back, everybody. So far, we've discussed birthright citizenship. We've discussed DEI winners and losers. For our third topic, we're going to be discussing toxic femininity versus toxic masculinity. So let's go ahead and dive right on in.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. This is a topic where people don't even think exists. Dang.
Yes.
Which is crazy to me.
Yes. And to kind of get started there, one of the first things, we kind of did when we were researching this topic is we just did a simple Google search for the difference between what we found the search engine said in regards to toxic femininity and toxic masculinity.
This is interesting.
Now, for toxic femininity, which was the first one we found, I thought that one was pretty interesting because the way the information read was as if toxic femininity was a byproduct of toxic masculinity, to the extent to where it's as if toxic femininity doesn't exist unless a man is involved in the dynamic.
So what does it say? It says toxic femininity is a term that describes the eternalization of
misogynistic
values and the pressure to conform to traditional gender roles. Mm-hmm. It can involve women,
quote unquote, all the below. Feeling societal pressure to look a certain way, ignoring their own needs for care, to care for others, ignoring their own needs to care for others. So yeah, it's when I'm reading this, it's like, oh, like I said, it doesn't exist. It's just something that happens because women are expected to do something else. So a woman can't be toxic unless a man is involved or another human being is involved. So in her own solace,
she's blameless.
Yeah, her behavior. So she can behave. The behavior can be the same, mm-hmm. But the minute a man is involved, now
her toxicity.
She is being toxic because the man is involved. But she can express the same behavior to women, but it wouldn't be considered toxic femininity.
Her toxicity.
Or she wouldn't be a victim of toxic femininity. So that's really what it boils down to. It's like toxic femininity is like you're a victim at the end of the day.
Her toxicity is based on the man doing or not doing something. Mm-hmm. Whether, you just can't be toxic in your own thinking or your own rational way of being. Mm-hmm. And so what does it say about masculine toxicity?
So masculine toxicity, it required 2 pages. Has to get 2 screenshots. But again, toxic masculinity is a term used to describe a version of masculinity that is unhealthy and harmful. It is characterized by exaggerated masculine traits that can have negative impacts on men, boys, and society.
Wow.
So again, the way this version of toxic, the meaning of this reads as if, again, it's just within men. It's inherent in a sense. Mm-hmm. It's
that man uncontingent of any outside factors.
The environment has no. It's him. It's men.
It's something in him. Yeah. Something wrong with him.
Yes,
he has an innate proclivity to be toxic.
Well, not just him, but just men and all men. Mm-hmm. We have these quote unquote harmful traits, and it's like that's a very interesting, look on it. So I thought that was pretty interesting because for most people, the first stop that they go to when it comes to getting some information in this day and age, Google is now the new encyclopedia. Mm-hmm. So if this is the first point of contact that people are going to, so for example, for one of the for toxic masculinity, it says causes. Societal expectations. Men may feel pressure to conform to societal expectations, such as being the provider. But they're saying like that's a cause of So now are they trying to say being a provider is toxic?
Or
is that one of the toxic
or the stress
traits?
will come up being of a provider is what makes you toxic?
But
the
I don't know. That's what I'm trying
the
to
struggle that
understand.
the fight that you got to go through, does that make you toxic of being a provider? And then their whole thing is there's a video, show the video when the girl is talking about she wasn't supposed to go through no harsh. The guy going through a hardship. She left her husband because he went through a hardship.
I would consider that toxic femininity.
I mean, so that's what I'm gonna sit here and prove to y'all women that's watching that toxic femininity is real. Right. And it's something that, and we're not here to bash you. We're not here to, continue to, beat you down with it. We just want you to be aware of some things that are causing you not to have the outcomes that you want when it comes to dealing with men.
You left your husband because he went through a little financial struggle.
And did.
At any point in time, did you feel that love should have kept you there?
I feel like he didn't love me because if he did, he wouldn't have went through a financial struggle. A man that loves a woman don't go through hard times.
So, that's just one, woman. Of course, she doesn't speak for everyone, but that whole ideology and way of thinking is something that has infiltrated. It's number one toxic, and it has infiltrated the thinking of a lot of young women, in society today, which, constantly has this, battle between male and female. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like, how can you sit there and honestly say that if he loved me, he wouldn't have went through a hardship, as if people choose to go through hardships and hard times.
Or he planned it for this.
Yeah, like this was the plan, like between the age of 35 and 37, I'm going to get laid off from my job and go through a hardship and, maybe have to depend on my better half to, get us through this little period until I reassess. And then her response, oh, no, I'm out of here. I ain't, this ain't what I signed up for. You ain't supposed to be going through no hardship. It's like, house, right? Like how do you think like that?
It makes me wonder for those females who think like that. Again, like what did you sign up for? Because it obviously wasn't to build a life with this man.
Better or
obviously,
worse,
right? Better
rich
or worse.
Or poor.
So
sickness and in health.
Right. So it's just,
that ain't.
And again, it's not a matter of. Again, us trying to bash or criticize, but it's just more so acknowledging the behaviors here in regards to, how we are conducting ourselves in relation to the opposite person. I mean, in relation to this individual that we're claiming that we want to have a relationship with. Mm-hmm. Because again, toxic masculinity was something, a term I remember talking about back in 2019 that was when I kind of like first started hearing about toxic masculinity was back in 2019, and I remember making the post like basically starting with the understanding of what the two words mean: toxic meaning poisonous, masculinity being qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics of men. Right. So then, like I said, so by definition, toxic masculinity is poisonous. Is poisonous qualities or attributes regarded as character. So again, it's as if, like you said, masculinity itself is toxic. So it's like when I hear, it's just funny to me when I hear it it's as if again that all men are born born toxic at the end of the day. Whereas, and because all men are born toxic, then that's why women has
to be the way they are.
That's why women behave the way they are. So that's why it can't be toxic femininity, because they're only doing this as a reaction to what the men are doing to them.
So just so you know, don't think we're being misogynistic or, bashing women. There's a video where there's a young black woman who kind of breaks it down, just the whole toxicity of the mind frame of these women, modern day women, so to speak. So go ahead and roll that video, and then we'll discuss it after this.
Men are not obsessed with women like they used to be. Y'all don't find that kind of weird? And to be honest, no, I don't find that kind of weird, because what exactly is there for men to be obsessed with in today's world? Women have left no room for imagination, none whatsoever. It's like your sense of entitlement is out of control. Your expectations are unrealistic. Y'all walk around showing your bodies half dressed, half exposed 24/7, out smoking, drinking, partying 24/7, on the scene 24/7. A lot of y'all are not even coming with nothing to the table because you're too busy with your hand out trying to see what man got the next bag so he can sponsor your lifestyle to make you look like you're living a lifestyle to post on the internet. It's like a lot of y'all don't have common sense. A lot of y'all don't know how to hold a conversation. A lot of y'all don't have no originality about yourselves. Everybody is getting the same body. Everybody is getting the same hairstyle. Everybody looks the exact same. And it's like, y'all get that confused. Oh, well, men like that. No, men will fuck that. But men are not wiping that and they're not cuffing that. And I think y'all are starting to realize that. And then the first thing y'all want to say is, oh, well, they're gay. They're sassy. No, they're not. They're just tired of what you guys are presenting. And if y'all are here to give them free pussy, free looks, and free everything they ain't got to work for, why would they? But they're never going to take you serious. So it seems to me like a lot of y'all are now starting to realize that you're either losing value or have lost value from chasing attention. And now that's something that y'all got to deal with, and y'all can't face that fact. Men love women that are exclusive, women that are put up, women that every man can say he had or can't have. Simple as that.
Hey. Was she eating or what?
I'll start here. First and foremost, we have to understand that the human being, regardless of his gender, it is driven to prioritize maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain. Like,
facts.
Period, point blank.
Right.
So starting there, we have to realize that, okay, every human being has a unique image of what they view to be pleasurable and what they view to be painful. Right. There will be some similarities with human beings, but it still ain't gonna be identical. It will be similar. Right. So in that regard, like she's saying, yes, I have no doubt in my mind that when it comes to women chasing attention, they're doing it because it feels they're maximizing pleasure. Mm-hmm. It feels good, but From my point of view, in my perspective, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like they understand the nature of the human being in regards to, yes, every human being is trying to maximize pleasure, but it's like they're maximizing pleasure, not understanding. It's like they're just thinking, because again, when you listen to how women speak a lot of the times in this case, in their minds, it's just like it's as if it's hedonism at the end of the day. Yeah. To where it's just like, again, the prioritization of pleasure over everything else, not understanding that, like, working out is the best example. So, yeah, you're going to have to endure painful exercise in order to experience the pleasure of looking in the mirror and feeling good about the body you see in that reflection. Right. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to lose weight. So again, when it comes to just going back to just in this case, the toxicity of a woman chasing attention, thinking that it's supposed to produce a significant, long-term, meaningful relationship for her. Mm-hmm. Like, in my opinion, that's what makes it toxic. Yeah.
Yes. The whole mannerism, the way you're carrying yourself and projecting yourself could be deemed as toxic.
To get attention. To feel pleasure.
Yeah. And
that's not the only way to get pleasure.
And that's not the only way to get attention.
Especially for men.
Not for men for long term.
Right.
To be kept. For a man to go out here and work every day and pay all the bills and make sure we have a home and a roof over your head and a car note is paid and insurance is paid and the kids are going to school and we make sure the tuition is paid and we make sure you got, your hair done, your nails done, your hair, everything did. We making sure we going on vacations. We making sure this is going on. This, like, we're writing that bill. We're footing that bill. We're writing that check. Mm-hmm. And so on the flip side to that, all we're asking is for, like the young woman said, some exclusivity.
Right. So again, women think that like the assumption is that, like, again, I gotta look like a bad bitch. I gotta engineer myself to be a Kardashian clone because that's what the men like. And as she said, like, yeah, that's what men like to fuck on. Mm-hmm. But again, is that what men are cuffing? Mm-mm. Quote unquote, keeping around for the long term? And
not
typically all. Not at all. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you're not exclusive. Right. And by being exclusive, ultimately, it's not about him doing something, again, to make you want to be exclusive. Mm-hmm. It's just about you as a woman making a decision to be exclusive. And that's what I'm saying. Like, because again, I've often heard women say, well, if I'm with this guy A, and then I get an offer from guy B for, we'll just use money just to keep them at the example. So if guy A is $10,000, but then she gets an offer from guy B that's $20,000, then in her mind it's like, I'm supposed to go. Aren't I supposed to go be with guy B because he's more? But it's just like, nah, you made a commitment with guy A,
right?
So it's just like. And that's what I think women seem not to understand, just about the nature of men.
Just like the video we watched.
Yeah.
Once he went through a hard time, and she like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how? Like, how you?
Because it's like a lot of like men typically are typically going to be a principle. So we're looking at, again, these vows that we're saying, or that we're going to recite. We're looking at that. We're looking at that seriously. You know, we're taking it seriously. We're not just looking at it just as words, as we just recite and go through the motions of this ceremony. Mm-hmm. So I think. Well, I know that a lot of men make the crucial mistake of believing that, oh, I heard her say the words, but it's just like, yeah, she just said them to go through the motions, but she didn't actually mean them. Mm-hmm. Oh, so it's just like, yeah, we got to just do better.
And another thing, a point that I made in another segment when I was talking about, when we was talking about the DEI and how black people want to unite and have a voice about certain matters and not about other matters. Why aren't we upset or, boycotting these Asian businesses that come into our community and sell all this European hair and capitalize off all our money? Like they build empires off of our, ignorance to project something that we're not. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, where's the anger about that? You know what I'm saying?
Again, it's viewed, I would imagine, that women view the fake hair as pleasurable.
A tool to achieve the pleasure.
Because again, we going on and this is regardless of gender, male or female. That's what we're driven by as human beings. Is so again, yeah, a woman, she wants to go buy that hair, that fake hair, not because, and as we're looking at it, like, why would they want to, like? Because I know me personally, I'm just like, why are you putting on a costume? Like, you got to put on a disguise.
It's like
day.
A whole hat. Yeah. And then when the funny part about that, they put all that on to go out in the streets. But the if you have a bad bitch or whatever the case may be that got the eyelashes and the weave and all that and the baby hair going down to her damn neck, the woman that you actually get at home don't look like that. She got a bonnet on.
Yeah, right.
The eyelashes in her case waiting to go out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She got her furry slides on, house shoes and shit. Dirty pajamas with a tomato soup stain on it and shit, and like sitting there,
right.
And then the intellectual capacity is, that's a whole nother subject. So the stuff that's coming out of her mouth is just like, I don't know what's more irritating, looking at you or listening to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she can be with a man, but he gets like the unboxed version of her. So basically, I kind of like a product in the store. So he don't get the display that you see when you walk past the window. You know what I'm saying? That caught him. You know what I'm saying? He don't get that. He get the mannequin that's in the back in the stock room that got the arm missing. You know what I'm saying? It got on, like you said, it got stains on it. It got like half of the head cut off. Right. They gotta piece it together.
That's the version of her he gets. But in her mind, it seems that women think that, oh, well, he married me or he's with me, so he's good. I don't have to give my best to him no more because I already got him. But when I go out here in these streets because I'm still open for business. Like I said, I'm still courting offers. I gotta put on my front, my window shopper.
That's what makes the natural woman have an advantage,
exactly,
over all that costume.
And that's why
that's why
we typically say we prefer
natural, and we choose the natural woman because they wake up, they ain't putting on a bunch of makeup. If they pretty and cute and soft and feminine, that's how they is when they went to sleep. When they woke up in the middle of the night, when they get up and go to the bathroom, she might get up and go to the bathroom. You fuck around, go to sleep before she take all her shit off, and then she get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom. You think somebody robbing your house? You think a whole nother nigga in that motherfucker?
I mean, bro, did you see that clip? There was a young lady. She was a nurse, and she was basically disrespecting her client. He was a disabled guy. Mm-hmm. But they showed her mugshot. You already know.
Yeah, because you got to take all that shit off.
That's
you
my
got to take the wig. You got to take all that out.
But the thing that blew my mind about it is like, because when I be looking specifically at the sisters, it's just like, even though the hair was matted from having her hat on and her hair, she was looking wild, but just her structure and her features, she still looked like a decent looking woman to me.
A lot of these women,
but it was just
beautiful.
Like with the hair,
sis, you are beautiful,
and all that stuff. That just makes them. To me, it's like they dilute themselves.
My sisters, you are beautiful. Please understand your value and your worth. You are beautiful, as is. Or what if niggas, all of us as black people went around here wearing
blonde wigs.
Men
though.
Yeah, mullet.
Toupees,
with a mullet, talking about, I'm tapping into my better self. Like y'all be like,
I feel beautiful with this song.
I
feel handsome with this song.
Yeah, I feel dapper and debonair.
I can't go out the house unless I put my mullet wig on.
Yeah, I feel empowered.
Yeah.
I feel masculine.
I heard. I was talking. I was out and about once a couple years back, and I heard these brothers. They was just kind of like cross talking, and they was like, man, he was like, I just don't get the sisters. He was like, they engineer themselves to, they put on these wigs, this makeup, all this artificial stuff to look like white women. He was like, do they not know that if we really want white women, we would just go be with a white woman?
We just go be with a white woman.
We don't need the imitation version of it.
And the white woman is in her natural state, so she still ain't, the white woman still ain't putting on the bonnet. You could grab that white woman here, you can grab it, pull it. Yeah. She don't care. You better not touch that sewing. You gotta fuck for hours, and you better not touch her fucking.
Don't touch the hair, bro.
They sleeping like this with their head hanging off the side of the bed. It's like it's crazy, the dynamics and the things that we go through, and kind of to like circle back around to, the topic, that all could be is toxic.
Have you ever been in a situation where
let me finish the point. It's toxic because it demonstrates self-hate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's how I'm tying it into the toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it toxic, because at the end of the day, at the core of that is self-hate.
Yes.
You don't think you're good enough.
No, 100%.
The way you're created, is not good enough, and you are. I'm
100%.
telling you.
And that's what I typically go back to thinking to myself. It's just like, well, if a woman is going to be putting in all this time, energy, and effort into engineering herself to look this specific way, then again, that just must that has to mean that she does not like the way she looks. So to your point, self-hate, which is now going to beget specific types of behaviors and actions, what I mean? And which can be labeled toxic.
Yeah, it's going to give you different actions when you're made up. And it's going to give you different actions when you don't have your costume on.
Exactly.
So now you're going to have this projected, aura or disposition, because you feel like, you're Wonder Woman. I got my cape
and they be
on.
forgetting, what I'm saying?
But then when it ain't on, there's a more like
a reserve,
back, insecure.
Yeah.
Well, then it's like, now we're dwelling at the bottom, low vibrating, and now when anything somebody say, you offended, and they not, it's like.
That's all I'm gonna say. Going back to your point about the hair part, it was like, have you ever been in a situation where you with a chick and y'all getting hot and bothered, and she says, hold up, I gotta put my hair up first.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, huh?
Or they'll straight tell you don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
They know, women these days know how to get it in without fucking their hair up. It's crazy.
No, they are professionals at that.
They are professionals.
As you just said that, it made me go back to, I remember I was dealing with a chick, and it was like, for whatever reason, she would always get her hair done like the day of, her putting in that text message, that order, and I would pull up, and that would be her thing, and I always remembered it because it'd be like, she'll put her head down, then it was like she would comb it, then she would put a bobby pin, then she would comb it, put a bobby pin, then she would comb it again, put a bobby the little clip, then she would wrap it. It was like I become a master at wrapping hair, you know what I'm saying? Because I done seen it done so many times. But it used to blow my mind, because I was like, damn, like, so she really just messed up the mood just to wrap her hair?
Just to wrap her hair, yo. Not to put a condom on, but the rapper here. But that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story. We'll say that for another episode.
That's a whole nother topic. Was there some other points that we were?
I mean, I just saw my man MJ going back to versus toxic masculinity. He made he had an interesting perspective on what toxic masculinity is, and he said masculinity is toxic when it's allowed to keep you from feeling, and it made me think about the example where he said don't let quote unquote being a man, and then it made me realize, okay, are they saying that? Because when I look at something like that, quote unquote, be a man or man up, like that, in my mind, I would typically say that as a measure or to inspire the young man or the man I'm talking to be stoic. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily to deny his feelings or not to emote per se, but more so just as a matter of being stoic. Because again, men, we're humans too.
Define stoic for some of our people. What exactly you mean by stoic?
So I like to give the official definitions, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll go ahead. So stoic is a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. A member of so basically, a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. So again, for the example I know we often give is when a little boy will trip and fall, then my leg hurts, and then the dad typically is like, oh boy, get up,
suck it up,
like
right.
Suck it up, man up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
don't cry, you better not cry.
Yeah, be a man. You know what I'm saying? They're saying, I could be wrong, but my interpretation of the events is that's what they're claiming is what makes men toxic, because we're not allowing ourselves to quote unquote express our emotions. But
and to play devil's advocate, I do believe there's some leeway there, where it can be too much of stoicness.
Well,
I'm gonna make up a word.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because I was gonna give the example of for example, there's a difference between a little kid tripping and falling and his leg is broken. The dad, stand up, man up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be a little toxic, as opposed to just a little boy fell and he didn't hurt himself. He didn't scuff his knee up. There's nothing, but just the experience of him falling and then observing people cry so then that's why the kid is crying. And when the dad comes up, hey, stop the crying, man up. To me, that's not toxic. But a lot of people will still say that that's being toxic. Yeah, that's toxic masculinity. Yeah. It's just like there has to be a distinction in my mind between the two, and I think that's what people. Well, that's what it seems from my perspective. That's what seems to be the problem. People aren't making the distinction between the two.
So, in conclusion, all we're saying, whether it's toxic femininity or toxic masculinity, it's toxic. Yes. The key word is the toxicity, which is not
men
good.
Can be guilty and women can be guilty,
which is not beneficial for either parties. And so, to get the perfect outcome or the outcome that you desire. Let's both check ourselves. Let's both check our emotions, our the way we do things, the way we think about things. Let's check it at the door. To see if I'm being over masculine, toxic, and then as a female, I believe it's warranted for the females to do the same, because there's a lot of things that's going on now that's not labeled as feminine toxicity, but we the first ones.
If men do it, it would be labeled.
You heard it here first.
Masculinity. Masculinity.
You heard it here first. There is a such thing as toxic femininity.
So before we go to close, I just wanted to read. There's a tweet, Cindy Noir. She says, "A woman convincing a man to confide in her and be vulnerable and emotional with her, only to throw it back in the man's face at the first sign of conflict, in my opinion, is a form of toxic femininity." Oh, wow. And I thought that was a pretty interesting take, especially since it came from a woman. And or what I would imagine to be, a woman's handle. But the point just being, I would have viewed that as a form of toxic masculinity. But from my perspective, they would say that no, that wouldn't be a woman being toxic femininity, throwing it back in his face. No, she only did that because he did something to her. So that's my point.
Well, be vulnerable to share something.
But that's what I'm saying. No matter what that happens, it seems like it always gets flipped or spun to, well, she only did that because that's what he did to her.
Because he did something to her.
But it's never just like, oh yeah, that was just a toxic action or something toxic to say, ma'am, like that was wrong. You know, like that wasn't that wasn't
and that goes on
that wasn't the best move.
That goes on both sides.
I agree.
You know, and
but it's only expressed on one.
Yeah, in a relationship, a man, you shouldn't. You know, you have a woman that open up to you and tell you, you know, some, you know,
right, don't throw
vulnerable things, you know, that
down.
she might experience. You don't never use that as a weapon to come, you know, 2 weeks later, like, oh, that's why, you know, your uncle touched you and raped you because you're so fast.
Right.
It's like, ho,
right,
like, you know, but
right.
I got you. Our next topic is the explosion of AI. Artificial intelligence. Talk to me, Dane.
So as we all know, you know, as of the last couple of years, we've been on this big push for artificial intelligence. It's been around for a while, believe it or not. Kind of like as we were just talking, you know, the scholars are already talking about it at Duke,
right?
You know, and as well as most of our most prominent research institutions, the MITs, the Harvards, the Princetons, and one of the main reasons why, you know, we're seeing a lot of things AI, especially in our popular medias and whatnot, is because, again, it's just that now it's in the public view. You know, AI has been around for decades, kind of like similar to GPS. GPS was around for decades, you know, but as you kind of brought up, like it was specifically the kinks in the sense was getting worked out by the military. They needed the military to iron out those wrinkles for them. But once they ironed out those wrinkles, then they released GPS to quote unquote the world.
Right.
To where now we can literally have it on our phones.
Right.
You know, being able to get around. And so same thing, same premise with AI in this case. So as creators, you know, these are definitely tools that can help you increase your productivity, because that's really the goal and focus of this first rendition of artificial intelligence. You know, I know the devil's advocates will say, like, isn't AI making people lazier?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, isn't there a fear of AI? Is it a means to kind of push laziness, where now you don't have to do the actual research, or you don't have to do the actual training? You could just type something in on AI or ChatGPT or what's the other ones, Gemini, and
right.
You got Bing and all them people that just all
Meta.
those Meta, that just come in and they. And it's like your introduction. You're bringing.
We're making a handshake,
AI.
right?
You're making a deal with the devil, so to speak.
A handshake agreement.
They agree. Like, come on in. So my thing about the whole AI thing, where I'm at with it, is another term that we used earlier. We need some borders around it.
Yeah, some regulation. Right.
There's definitely needs to be some regulation, because my fear is, I watch a lot of movies. I'm a filmmaker by day, dancer by night, psych. But my fear is that we will make it so intelligent that it will start outsmarting us. And then we will program it to. I mean, you've seen the movies, the iRobot, right, and all those movies where they programmed AI so advanced and told it to monitor us or to protect us, that there's a when you're dealing with humans, there's a lot of gray areas.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that are based off inflection that AI can't recognize. There's emotions, there's tone, there's feelings, associated with a lot of our actions, which dictates the the premise of said action or whatever the case may be. And AI can't resonate that or recognize that. So moving forward, you might program it. You might have all AI robots like RoboCops,
right,
to be the police, and then you see somebody going like this, raising a hand to strike someone,
right?
And they're programmed like, okay, he's being violent, but he could be stopping someone from
hitting someone,
getting hit,
someone,
getting armed, getting raped, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's a lot of gray areas, and that's my only concern with it. Like, I love it as a productivity tool. I believe that's awesome, and I use it in my everyday work, and I use it a lot. It's very it cuts down time.
Yep.
It's very helps you with time management, and you get a lot of results quicker.
Yep.
Faster and spot on. Yeah. So to speak, very to the point of what you're looking for. But like I said, there's also, there needs to be some borders or some guidelines to it. We're only going to take it but so far. Like, I hope they're not, like with the social media thing, when that came around, like they just was like trying to make social media as user friendly as possible,
right.
Where it became something that excuse me. It became something. They laughing at me because I be getting on them for coughing and sneezing, and here I go coughing. It's because of y'all. But anyway, I need my lights off. There's some DEI hires coming with them germs. But the point I'm making is like, you have, I forgot the point I was making, but anywho, there need to be borders and things around it, surrounded by the AI, because it can get out of hand, I believe.
I agree. I was looking for a picture that I saw when I was doing my research earlier this week. I thought I had saved it, but it looks like I didn't. But it was basically a slide from an IBM presentation back in the 70s, I believe. Mm-hmm. And the slide basically said, since computers can't be held accountable, we can never program computers to make executive decisions. Mm. And so, to your point of like, what are the boundaries of AI? Like how do we regulate it to where it doesn't get more advanced than us?
Right.
To where it thinks that, to where again it turns into some Terminator,
to its own entity. It becomes
like the Terminator movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like where it starts on being on its own, doing its own thing. Because I had to do this because y'all can't sustain yourself. Right. Like most of them doomsday movies. So when yes, the productivity component of AI is beneficial, as if you know what you're doing, but also too, we're still in the first version of this. So from what I found, it seems like the next iteration or version 2 of AI is going, or AI 2.0 is going to now be focused on robotics.
Right.
That's going to be the next step for AI. And
which I think robotics is good for. I mean, it might take some jobs, like far as your retail jobs, fast food restaurants, you know, things of that nature.
Manual labor work.
Yes, a lot of those things.
Transportation,
logistics. Yeah.
No more warehouse jobs.
That's like let's talk about that. How do we feel about that? Is that moving us forward, or is what we said about preparing our youth for STEM will make them? Because, like you said, it's not the AI that's going to put us out of jobs. It's
the people who know how to
how to manage AI and use it and implement it will be the ones that will be employed and successful. Yep. So, and the only way you could be successful in technology is getting into the STEMs. Like we spoke before, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you have a child, because we talked about getting Gen Beta ready for the next 20 years, and making STEM in the household something that's mandatory, right? And important
as a form of home education.
Yes.
Like, so this again, not outside of what they're doing in their traditional schooling environments. Making STEM imperative in home, so that again we can start early, because that's what Vivek was talking about in his Breakfast Club interview. Right. That the biggest inequality comes from a lack of education and preparation. But again, it's not that the education isn't happening or couldn't happen. It's just that we're typically starting too late, because like he said, by the time the cake is baked, when they're 18 or in the 12th grade, the cake is done at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. No, you can't put any new ingredients in at that point. It's already been in. It's ready to eat at that point. So we got to start early. So again, literally 2 years old, because that's typically when preschool starts. It's 2 or 3 years old.
Let me ask you this question. I just got a question from one of our producers, and they asked, "Would AI removing so many jobs require a form of universal basic income?" So now that you're taking out a lot of these jobs, the retail, the warehouse worker, the drivers, so do that mean we implement AI and now the money, because you don't have to pay them a salary,
right?
Or a wage,
AI too, right?
The robotics, they don't need vacation time and PTO and overtime and all that. So
they can go 24/7, 365.
But they are also quadrupling the productivity and the revenue coming in. So with that being said, I think that's a great question. Should we have some type of universal what do you call it?
Universal income.
Universal income.
That was one of the propositions of this last campaign series. I think Andrew Yang, that was one of his things he was campaigning on. And I would say no, only because it's not going to be sustainable long term wise. Because the complaint, I mean, what will ultimately, my theory as to what they will say will happen is if we give people free money, then that's just going to mean that more people have more buying power, which is going to mean that the prices is going to go up. So I think that they will use that as a reason to enrich their interests. So I think that they will use it to their benefit, not to the human. I mean, not to the citizens' interests. Because again, they wouldn't mind giving the money away, but again, because they know the spending habits of their citizens, they go get it right back anyway. So that's why I was just say no, because it's just like the lotto winners. The people who win the lottery, they usually end up in a worse position than before they had the money.
Right.
So if you start giving the whole nation free money, just like, I mean, we somewhat saw it during the pandemic. We gave out free money, and what did that lead to? A lot of scamming,
flat screen TVs.
Right. So again, the people didn't use the money in a manner in which they thought it would be used to help, again, survivability, standard of living. We got extra money. Let's, instead of going to put in a little Timmy and Johnny's education, we went in, like you said, we gonna buy some new Jordans, new flat screen TVs.
But what happens to the person that's working retail?
Same thing that happened to the guys who was working in the horse stables before Ford put out the Model T. You will have to skill up and go and get with it here and now, or you're gonna get left behind.
Or the same thing that happened to the person that made VCRs.
Right. What happened to all the DVD makers when Netflix came out? We saw what happened in that Blockbuster. So again, Blockbuster had the opportunity to be down with the future.
They did have opportunity.
Come on, man. This DVDs, they ain't gonna be in. They could have bought them.
No, they had a deal with a deal was on the table with.
That's what
Netflix.
I'm saying. They could have. Blockbuster could still be around right now.
Right.
But again, they couldn't see into the future.
Right. So you're saying instead of no universal money for everyone.
I would say universal reskilling education would be a better alternative.
So that's okay. So that money. So I replaced my employees with robotics. My robotics quadruples my revenue. So as the owner CEO, I'll take a third, a half of
whatever
that,
the percentage,
whatever the percentage is, and put it into re-educating the people that I had to let go.
Because I still need to have somebody to come and fix these robots.
Yeah, but not as many as the people that you let go.
Of course.
But
again, remember what you just said. They did quadruple production, which means that there's still other tasks that they need to be doing. But they're going to need to know how to use the AI tool to do those additional tasks.
So that would be the responsibility of said CEO or company for every employee that you let go, you're responsible to afford them the education to scale up.
Well, I doubt that they would make the
instead of just giving them money.
Well, I doubt that they would make the companies responsible for skilling up these, but they would do it like a program. You know what I'm saying? Like any other, like a Head Start program, to where, all right, if you've been affected by this,
I think the company should be responsible for it.
I mean, how would you make them?
I mean, why wouldn't you? You're
because you don't. That's not your. Because remember, your interest as a business is profit. It's not.
I know, but I
labor.
just quadrupled my profit. I was already making profit.
Giving that money to your shareholders.
I was already making profit. Mm-hmm. And successful. I was already the number one. I'm already McDonald's. Mm-hmm. 50 billion burgers sold, or whatever the case, whatever they billions sold every day. Right. I'm already. Yeah. So now I got AI in the picture, mm-hmm. and now I'm selling 4 billion a day, mm-hmm. which is giving me more money, but I done added to the unemployment. Mm-hmm. So instead of just leaving them out and dry, I think, you still want to get triple the money even if you take 1/4 of the, quadrupled revenue that you got. Mm-hmm. Just 1/4 of that and put it to, okay, everybody I let go, you can sign up for these classes. We have, you can go ahead and elevate, and then, anybody that we could use, we'll put them in these positions. Boom, boom, boom. And then, even if you don't come back to this company, you're able to move on in society mm-hmm. with a learned, skill set.
I agree. It's well-intentioned.
And the owner and McDonald's is still tripling their profit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I agree. That is well-intentioned. That would be nice to do. But we have to be mindful of who we're talking about. So that would work for a nonprofit company or entity, but again, a for-profit company, their mandate is profit.
Shareholders. Yeah.
So their shareholders don't look
like,
at
hell no. They I don't care.
Right. It's just like,
we got more money.
We got more money, so now we get more returns. So like we're not, because again, our interest is not. I mean, unfortunately, the corporate interest is profit. To enrich to increase the value of their shareholders' investment. It's not to skill up the people that they just fired. So it sucks, and I would agree. So that's why my position is we can remedy a lot of this if we start skilling up in home, and then B, we start skilling up the kids earlier. Right. Stop waiting till they're 18. So that's why, like I said, we have a new generation to execute this plan on with Gen Beta, because again, they're gonna have to know how to use AI front to back, forwards, left to right, because again, it's gonna be embedded in the fabric of the society that they live in. So that's for when it comes back to STEM technology, AI is under the technology umbrella. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, a parent will be doing themselves and their child, a great service by mm-hmm. starting early, because
that's where we're moving to.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's videos of other countries like Japan, China, mm-hmm. and how they educate their kids. So again, they're doing a lot of the things that I'm saying we need to do for the American youth. They are doing those things.
Definitely.
They are already doing those things. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like we're waiting till the kid is 18 to even introduce those things that they're introducing to their kids at 2.
And like my boy,
and we're making it optional.
The cake is already baked at 18.
It's like, and then now the parent is wondering like why the kid ain't listening or why they being rebellious. But it's just like, parent, you had at least 16 years from 2 to 18 to guide them down the path that you believe they should have been in. But you wait until 18, like you said, the cake is already made. Mm-hmm. It's ready to be ate at that point. It's no more adding ingredients.
So what did Mr. Wonderful had to say about all that?
So yeah, Mr. Wonderful, man, that's actually he opened my mind up to an angle of this whole AI situation, because again, remember, OpenAI, that's who owns ChatGPT,
right?
And prior to this, basically last couple of weeks or so, the word on the street was that we need billions to build out these AI languages and structures. You know what I'm saying? We need billions of dollars.
And China did it for how much?
So
$5 million.
So let's give them the foundation first. First, we have all these American companies saying we need billions, guys. We need billions.
Hundreds of billions.
We need hundreds of billions of
hundreds
dollars.
of billions.
You guys need to value our companies at hundreds of billions of dollars, because that's what it's going to take in order for us to build out these AI models and whatnot. So the market gave them billions. Mm-hmm. In regards to valuation, so specifically NVIDIA, and the reason why NVIDIA is important is because they are the chip manufacturer.
Right.
They're the company that is that allegedly has the most highest processing chips required or needed for the AI to do what it does. Mm-hmm. And allegedly there's a ban on those. There was allegedly some sort of a ban from those chips being given to foreign entities.
Gotcha.
And so now with that being kind of like the foundation of why the OpenAIs and these other Geminis and the Metas, that's why these companies was seeing these increases in their valuations over the last couple of months. And then what happened was, like you said earlier this week, DeepSeek was released. Mm-hmm. And that was another. It's a version of ChatGPT, Gemini, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's a Chinese-based company.
Right.
So they came out and said they basically did the same thing OpenAI did with ChatGPT, but it didn't cost them billions. Mm-hmm. It cost them $5 million, which was sent seismic shockwaves through the markets, because now it's just like, oh, we've overvalued these companies. So that's why NVIDIA lost. Well, it was like, I want to say anywhere from 400 billion to 600 billion of their valuation, the market valuation. Because now it's just like, well, I guess y'all's chips ain't as important or needed as y'all proclaim to be.
Or y'all blowing smoke about it.
One or the other. Right. And so to tie it all together, Mr. Wonderful's thing is just like, his take on it is like, China and America are currently at war. Mm-hmm. They're in a tech war. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is the TikToks, the DeepSeeks, and then all these other apps that these Chinese-based companies have been putting out. His take is that they're using this as a Trojan horse to gather our data and to disrupt our financial market. And
they said that from the inception of TikTok. That was the whole thing of TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, because when I first got TikTok, I was against TikTok. And I was like, is this thing called TikTok? And they say, the Chinese is using it just to get all our information and, the things that we do, the way we think, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was adamantly against it. And then I don't know how
you got onto it.
Bug bit me. But I got TikTok bites all over me. But yeah, that was the onset of TikTok, that it was a Chinese-based owned company that was infiltrating our us as Americans,
country, right? Yeah,
and getting our information.
So that's what his projection. I mean, what his take was. But after I thought about it, it kind of makes sense, because the first news was DeepSeek came out. It's this free, and that's another thing too. DeepSeek is free. It's open source. Mm-hmm. And so again, anybody can use it anywhere in the world. But then the next thing that came out was like a day or two after DeepSeek got released, Wiz, there's a company called Wiz. Mm-hmm. They found a major security breach in the data.
Wow.
So basically just a real brief cybersecurity 101. Servers, like data is on a server, but if you have the login information, if you can hack the server, you can change the privileges and the users to where you can literally lock out the people who built the software. Oh, wow. You can extract data from it. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what the breach, the cyber attack revealed, was that there was a significant leak in regards to. So again, whenever you're typing data into the DeepSeek or any app that we're using for free, right, all those keystrokes is being saved. All that data is being saved.
You know what they say? Whenever something's free, that means you're the product. You're
right?
The product.
So all that data is being saved, and as they found with the Wiz, because again, there are like some Wiz is like an ethical hacking company, so they found the breach, but instead of exploiting it, they informed DeepSeek, and then DeepSeek has to fix it.
Oh, nice of them.
Nice of them, right? But the point being, if they hadn't have discovered this breach within a day or 2 or 3 of the app being released, then that means that hackers would have been having all your access, so your keystrokes. And the reason why that's important,
or maybe they hacked enough
within them 2 days, right? Because people was using it,
of course.
But that's actually the resolve here, and what people got to ultimately, before we close out, that's the importance. The ultimately why I wanted to talk about this topic as well is that yes, these are good tools, they are valuable tools, but we just have to be mindful of as users, where is our data going? Because again, if we're using DeepSeek, then that means that information is being stored on a Chinese-based server, and Chinese servers aren't beholden to U.S. laws.
No.
So we're giving our information to
our welfare,
right? So we're giving you just whatever you type it into these apps, like it's being saved. Like you said, the logs, the keystrokes, all that stuff is being saved. So again, anybody can access that. The people who know how to use the data, they can go in and access the data and then be able to find whatever they need to know about you to do whatever they want to do.
Wow.
So that's what you have to just be mindful for when you are using these free apps.
So how do we protect ourselves?
That's my point. So we protect ourselves by being conscious of the app that we're using. So in this case, DeepSeek, it's a Chinese-based company, so it is not beholden to U.S. law, and it is beholden to Chinese law. So technically, if the Chinese government tells DeepSeek, give us your data,
they have to give it.
Have to give it to them.
So what's the resolve?
So the resolve is
don't use DeepSeek.
You can use the same DeepSeek AI. You just one alternative is to be, and this is a more sophisticated option.
Okay.
But you would have to download the program on your own server, and then run it on your own computer, like your own network, as opposed to
like your own VPN.
Not a VPN, but so basically the server is where the files are stored. So right now, if you want to use DeepSeek, it's like you gotta call the server in China to use it. But you can use the software since it's open source and download it on a server, your own home server, and then run it off your own home server. That way, you don't have to call the server in China.
So what are some names of personal home servers? Like what are
just as home. That's why I said that's the more sophisticated option. The average individual isn't going to be able to do that. Right. So your resolve will just have to be just being conscious of the app that you are using,
and not put personal information into it?
Certain pertinent information. So when you're doing using DeepSeek, you don't want to put in your social security number. You don't want to put in your
you go.
You don't want to put.
I'm trying to find a resolve for us, guys, because I know we're gonna use.
You're right. You don't want to put sensitive information, but you also too have to be mindful of what you're telling it to act, or what you're asking it to do, because that can be used against you as well.
The question.
So if you're asking it, hey, how do I make a bomb, for example?
Got you.
That can be used against you. Not in the way you might be thinking, because now if China needs to find some insurrectionists in America, all they would have to do, and I'm just hypothetically speaking right now, ladies and gentlemen, all they would have to do is they can just go pull their DeepSeek search and find what Americans is looking on how to build a bomb.
Who's about that life?
And because they have your location, your IP address, they know exactly where you're at. So
and
now,
everything else that you've been
and
doing.
Everything else. So now they can, in a sense, recruit you, to do their bidding for them in America.
Yo, this is real.
Deep,
this is real, guys.
So that's what Mr. Wonderful was talking about. So we just have to be mindful, ladies. And so again, another new AI language is Queen, which was put out by Alibaba.
Okay.
We all know what Alibaba, who they is and what they represent, but they have just put out their
Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
So, but again, they just put out their own version of AI, which is similar to ChatGPT and Queen. I mean, in DeepSeek. But again, just be mindful of where the app is coming from. So again, Alibaba's based in China, so a Chinese server.
Is DeepSeek and Alibaba working together?
No, there's two.
Or they're competitors.
Well, that's Mr. Wonderful's.
Or is it coming from the same source and they got two Trojan horses out there?
Well, Mr. Wonderful's take is that they're all working for the
together
with the Chinese government,
and it's almost like our government. Like you got Democrats and Republicans. divide and conquer. They're gonna choose one or the other, but they both work.
Right, exactly. For the most part, that was his take. But again, if you kind of peel back the layers on it, it kind of makes sense because it's just like because I've heard that the Chinese version of TikTok is nothing like the American version of TikTok.
Right. I've heard that is very educational.
Right.
It's very
productive.
informative and productive, and
whereas ours is just like debauchery.
There's an actual STEM page on TikTok where it just shows all scientific technology and engineering and mathematics stuff.
I heard their version of TikTok is that on steroids.
Right.
Whereas ours is more so debauchery on steroids.
Right.
So but again, that's what the assumption is that these Chinese-based apps are being used to influence and manipulate the American citizen.
Yeah.
To go against its own interests.
Exactly.
And to serve the interests of China.
Hey, so we gotta be on top of this stuff, guys. We gotta be in the know, and that's why, moving towards the STEM for your younger generations, already having them come up with this way of thinking, and maybe, you could look into it in your off time. I know once people get set in their ways, it's hard to get people to change, but these things are, sounds like to our demise. So we got to be smarter than that. Mm-hmm. We're living in an era where the battle over identity, power, and influence shaping the world around us. Whether it's who gets to belong or who gets a fair shot, how gender roles are weaponized, or how technology is rewriting the future. These aren't just abstract debates. They directly impact our lives, our opportunities, and our places in society. The real danger is getting caught up in the propaganda, the distractions, the narratives designed to keep us divided and uninformed. But the solution is simple: awareness. The more we educate and enlighten ourselves, the less likely we are to be manipulated, misled, or left behind in a rapidly changing world. So don't just react, think. Don't just accept, question. And most importantly, don't just exist, evolve. The waves of change are coming, and it's up to us whether we sink, float, or ride them to something greater. Until next time, keep your mind sharp, your perceptives open, and your influence rippling outward. This is the Ripple Effect Podcast, where the conversations never stop. All right, that brings us to the end of another episode.
Yes, indeed. 2. Yes, episode in the bank, baby.
It's in the bank. It's in the can, right?
It's in the bank.
All right, so thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and to share. Tune in and, share. Our social medias at the bottom on all platforms. And I'm Quattro.
I'm Diesel.
And we catch you on the next one.
Peace.